Hello, this is Dr. Kramer with some advice on troubleshooting your first draft. This is a video made for English 1302 courses, but it's possible that English 1301 students can also find this video helpful. The first mission that you have is to read your comments. I spend about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes more, per first draft, and I write a lot of comments. You can find them on your electronic first draft. If you click the View Feedback to access and then maximize the screen, you'll be able to see them. I also give general comments in the comment section, and you can understand why you got the grade that you did by looking at the rubric. I get really annoyed if I read a final draft and someone did not fix something that would be very easy to fix that I commented on in the first draft. So please read your comments. Now let's talk about some issues with argumentation that you might have. This is going to include thesis and topic sentences, and this would fall under the ideas criterion on the rubric. First, make sure your thesis is debatable among reasonable people. If it isn't, I would have told you so in the comments. For rhetorical analysis papers, your thesis should address the effectiveness question and the strategy used. Now you can go back and review my rhetorical analysis how-to video for more information on how to write a rhetorical analysis thesis, but please pay special attention to my comments on your thesis. If you're writing a literary analysis, your thesis should address the deeper meaning behind the author's literary choices. Let's talk about some style considerations for your thesis statement. First off, it should go at the end of the introduction paragraph. That is where the reader is expecting it. Second, you should use specific language. Sometimes I get thesis statements that sound something like this. Barrientos uses rhetorical techniques to get her readers to agree. Well, I don't know what you mean by rhetorical techniques. There are all kinds of rhetorical techniques out there, and I'm using multiple rhetorical techniques myself at this very moment. So that kind of thesis does not help the reader. Also, there's no effectiveness consideration here. You have the phrase get her readers to agree, but you don't tell me if that worked or not. So you can revise a thesis like this by using more specific language. So here's the example of a more specific thesis that still basically says the same thing. Barrientos uses personal anecdotes and emotional language to persuade the reader that the Spanish language is crucial to Hispanic identity. So there, I not only give a specific rhetorical technique, personal anecdotes, but I also give a clue as to effectiveness when I say persuade. Let's talk about topic sentences. This is also graded under the ideas criterion. First off, you need to demonstrate a thesis tie-in for your topic sentences. You will notify your reader of what rhetorical feature you will be examining and how it contributes to the piece's effectiveness or lack thereof. Read your comments at the beginning of each body paragraph because I've probably made a comment if you're having trouble with your topic sentences. You should not include a quote in your topic sentence. More on that in the next section. Now, a way to self-check to see if you have good, strong topic sentences and that your paper is overall coherent and has cohesion is to do the following. Get a piece of paper or open a new document in Word or Google Docs and do the following. Write down your thesis statement and then the topic sentence of each body paragraph and then the last sentence of a conclusion into one paragraph. So you're just pulling these things from your draft. Ideally, you should have a good summary of your paper in these 4 to 7 sentences. I say 4 to 7 because that's the length typically of this assignment. If you need more information on cohesion and topic sentences, see Easy Writer, pages 14 through 15, the developing paragraph section. All right, let's talk about in-text quotations. Quotes need to be used as evidence, and this is graded under the ideas criterion. You have to have quotes as evidence in a rhetorical or a literary analysis paper. I have some papers that I have graded that have excellent argumentation, but no quotes as evidence. You have to demonstrate that what you say is happening in the piece rhetorically is indeed actually happening. So you can't tell me that somebody is using pathos and be believable unless you provide examples of the pathos. You need to back up any claims you make with quotes from the text. A good rule of thumb is to include 2 to 4 direct quotes per body paragraph with explanations. Some more about quotes as evidence. For online sources, you're going to give the paragraph number in the in-text citation. For example, if you're saying Kramer constantly reminds the reader that, quote, done is better than good, close quote, you're going to put para for paragraph 16. For quotes longer than 4 lines of typed text, you need to block quote them. This is a special formatting that you do. You can see Easy Writer, pages 333 through 334. You can see my sample paper on Canvas, or you can watch the formatting video if you're unclear on how to format this. Make sure that you interpret quotes after you give them. Do not assume the reader will guess why they are there. Remember, we are working in an American academic style, which is very low context. You need to be very, very clear. If you have a long quote, you should have a longer interpretation, 2 to 3 to 4 sentences of interpretation for a long quote. Don't give a long quote and then give a short sentence as interpretation. That is not justifying the length of the quote. All right. Another issue with quotes is the quote bomb. What is a quote bomb? Well, I will tell you. That's where you do not integrate quotes into your own sentence. This is a must for these kinds of papers. Start the sentence with your own words. You can see Easy Writer, pages 107 through 108 for strategies. Some other style considerations for quotes. Do not begin any paragraphs with a quote, with the exception of the intro paragraph. That can begin with an epigraph, which is a special type of opening quote. If you're using an epigraph, there is special formatting that you need to do. Please see my formatting video linked on Canvas. Do not end your paragraph with a quote. Why are there all these rules about where quotes should go? Well, your argument needs to take the lead in this paper, not the other author's material, even though you are writing about them. I'm trying to protect you here. I got a B in sophomore English because I ended a paper on a quote. So I learned my lesson back when I was a sophomore in college, and I'm passing it along to you. But it makes sense. I thought, hey, my professor will understand why I put this awesome quote here, and it's basically like a mic drop. But we're writing an American academic style, and there are no mic drops. There are only very direct explanations. All right, let's talk about some style considerations. These would fall under the style criterion on the rubric. The main thing I'm noticing as I read first drafts is character and action. So let's talk about this. Make sure that the grammatical subject of your sentences are actual characters or concrete nouns whenever possible, and that the verb reflects what that character is doing. This avoids overly complicated sentence structures and noms or nominalizations. Remember back style lessons 1 and 2? This is what I'm talking about here. So here's an example of a sentence that kind of breaks this character action and does not have a character doing an action. Wolbe's inclusion of video links and bright graphics is how he keeps audience engagement, and that's what makes his argument so interesting and fun. So there are great ideas in this sentence, but the way it's written, it's very, very unclear who is doing what, and it's also hard to read. So let's revise this. Remember the steps: diagnose, decide, and revise. We underline the first 7 to 8 words in the sentence, which in this case would go Wolbe's inclusion of video links and bright graphics. So I'll give 8. Do I have a character here? No, not in the subject position. My character here, or my subject here, is inclusion, which is not a character. Do I have an action? Well, no, I don't. I don't have a verb at all in these first 7 to 8 words. So my sentence is in trouble. The next thing I need to do is to decide who the characters are and what they are doing. In this example, the characters are Wolby and the audience. And what they are doing is they are included and they are engaged. Those are the actions. So let's see how we would rewrite. If I have the original, Wolby's inclusion of video links and bright graphics is how he keeps audience engagement, and that's what makes his audience so interesting and fun, I can revise it as follows. When Wolby includes video links and bright graphics, the audience engages with his interesting and fun arguments. See how much clearer that is? Oftentimes, students are trying to show a cause and effect relationship when they are using nominalizations. It's much better to use a subordinating conjunction like when for this. Have it do the work for you and retain those nice characters and actions. All right, a little bit about formatting, which is graded in the sources and formatting criterion. We are in MLA formatting, which means you need to follow certain procedures. First off, you need to include your MLA first page header, as well as the last name and page number on the top of every page after page 1. You need to have a proper works cited. For the essays that you're using for the rhetorical analysis assignment in English 1302, see Easy Writer Chapter 15, pages 158 through 167 for an annotated example paper. You can also see the paper on Canvas, and you can also see my formatting video. Let me also tell you that the template that you want to follow, which I've given people comments on this on their paper, for the online source is number 38 in Easy Writer Chapter 15. All right, let's talk about grammar, spelling, and punctuation for American Academic English in the usage criterion. The big grammar issue I'm seeing right now that's kind of almost universal is a comma splice. This is a very common grammar mistake that college students make. What happens is you're writing more sophisticated sentences, but sometimes the grammar ability is a little lacking. When you combine two complete thoughts without proper punctuation or conjunctions, then you have committed a comma splice. There are 3 possible fixes for comma splices. You can divide the sentence, you can add a fanboys conjunction, or you can make the comma a semicolon. So let me show you what I mean. For more information, especially if you do this a bunch in your paper, please see Easy Writer pages 311 through 314. Here's an example of a comma splice and how to fix it. Let's say Woody and Buzz were formulating a plan, comma, Jessie tried to get in on the action. Well, that's 2 complete thoughts, and a comma is not strong enough to hold 2 complete thoughts together. So now let's fix. Fix number 1 would be to divide the sentence. Woody and Buzz were formulating a plan, period. Jessie tried to get in on the action. Fix number 2 would be adding a comma and a fanboys, which is really a coordinating conjunction, but many of you may have learned the mnemonic fanboys. It stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So I decided to use so as my coordinating conjunction to combine these 2 independent clauses together. Woody and Buzz were formulating a plan, comma, so Jessie tried to get in on the action. The third way to fix this is to change the comma to a semicolon. Woody and Buzz were formulating a plan, semicolon, Jessie tried to get in on the action. Now this is grammatically correct and it's a fine thing to do. Stylistically, you need to only do this when the 2 independent clauses are very closely related. And you also need to be very, very cautious about overusing the semicolon because it leads to a lot of long, complicated sentences. So I like to give a rule of thumb, maybe 1 semicolon per paragraph. If you have other grammar issues, if this is kind of a besetting sin of your writing, please do the following. Proofread. Read your paper out loud to yourself. It's amazing what you'll catch. Pay attention to what your word processing software is telling you. If Word is underlining something in red, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong, but at least click on it and see what it wants you to do. Everyone that is a Collin College student gets a free Grammarly premium account. This is not the usual free account that you may be using. This is an upgrade, but you get it for free because Collin College received a grant. You can find information on how to sign up for this in the Canvas modules. All right, that's it. The last thing I want to advise you to do is if you're having trouble, please come see me in office hours or email me for a personal meeting. I would love to help you.